Okay, so have you ever heard of like the dead internet theory?
Yeah, I've seen that floating around.
Yeah, it's kind of a creepy but fascinating idea, this whole theory that like a lot of the internet isn't actually, well, people.
Right.
So today we're going on a deep dive. We're using this paper, artificial influencers and the dead internet theory to kind of break this down.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the theory itself, it suggests that the internet is becoming more and more populated by, well, AI stuff, right? AI content and AI interactions.
Right.
And that's pushing human presence out.
Yeah, so it's like we're heading toward a digital ghost town
Yeah, pretty much.
where the tumbleweeds are lines of code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this paper, it specifically links the theory to, the rise of AI influencers. And we're not just talking about accounts that, like, teams manage.
Right.
These are, like, really complex AI programs that are made to create content and then actually, engage with people.
So these AI influencers are like the welcome wagon to the dead internet.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, I'm already picturing myself in the future scrolling through my feed, and I can't even tell who's real
Yeah.
and who's like, an algorithm.
And that future, it might be, well, closer than you think. The paper, it actually highlights a really interesting example
Oh.
of this, like, happening right now. AI bots, they're functioning as, get this, live streamers
What?
in the retail industry. Like, seriously. They're designed to, like, mimic how humans act on those live streams, right?
Wow.
Creating that illusion, that connection, that authenticity, but it's all to sell stuff.
That is so wild.
It is.
And I can definitely see how, that feeds into this dead internet theory. It's not even just like that AI generated stuff is out there. It's that it's like made to be indistinguishable from what a human makes.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
It is. And that brings us to, like, the core argument, right? That AI is fundamentally changing the online experience. It's shifting from connection, right?
Right.
To just pure consumption.
Okay, so instead of using social media to like connect with friends and family, we're just increasingly consuming content, just like driven by algorithms that just want to keep us hooked.
That's exactly it. That's the concern. The paper, it dives into this concept of consumption-driven algorithms.
Right.
And it argues that these algorithms, they're not designed to help you actually connect with people.
Right.
They want to keep you scrolling, keep you clicking, keep you watching. And that means, well, ultimately, consuming more. Whether that's products or information or even just entertainment.
That makes sense. I mean, I've definitely noticed even in like my own social media feeds, it's become less about the people I actually know.
Right.
And more about the content that's like, flashing, pay attention to me.
Yeah, totally.
It's wild. So like, how do these algorithms actually like work? I'm so curious.
Yeah, it's complex. But essentially, these algorithms, they're constantly watching what we do, like what we click on,
Right.
what we like, how long we actually watch a video. And they use all that data, right, to like build this profile of what we like, what we're interested in.
Wow.
And then they use that profile to curate the perfect feed.
Oh, wow.
Designed to keep us engaged.
So it's like they're trying to predict what's going to keep us glued to the screen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is that where like the psychological manipulation comes in?
Yeah. And the paper argues that these algorithms, they exploit our weaknesses, our vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Especially our desire for new stuff.
Yeah, right.
Novelty. And how susceptible we are to the reward loop.
The reward loop, what's that?
So think of it this way. Every time we get like a notification or find something new, right?
Yeah.
Our brain, it gets a hit of dopamine.
Right.
It makes us feel good, right?
Yeah.
And over time, we start to crave that. And the algorithms, they know this. They know how our brains work.
Oh, wow.
So they design our feeds to just give us constant hits, constant dopamine.
Oh, wow.
Keep us hooked, coming back for more.
So it's like a digital slot machine.
It is.
It's like feeding our brains these little bursts of like satisfaction, but the content itself might not actually be good for us,
Yeah.
Or meaningful.
Exactly. It's a great analogy. And the worry is that this whole cycle, this constant craving, consuming, right?
Yeah.
It can hurt us, especially younger users who, well, their self-regulation skills, they're still developing, right?
Right. That's a scary thought. It really does seem like these consumption-driven algorithms are at the heart of this whole dead internet theory.
They definitely play a big role.
Yeah.
A big role in this shift from an internet that's about humans to an internet that's about, well, AI.
Yeah.
That's about maximizing how much we use it, even if it hurts our connections and, even if it hurts our well-being.
So is this theory right? Is the dead internet theory, is it accurate? Or is it like, is it exaggerated?
I mean, to say the internet is completely dead, that's probably too simple, right? But it does point to some real trends, real concerns. And with, AI getting more and more advanced, those lines, they're getting blurry.
Yeah.
It's harder and harder to tell what's human, what's AI.
And that brings us to something that's, well, both fascinating and frightening.
Oh, yeah.
Deepfakes.
Deepfakes, yeah.
It's like, how do we even, I don't even know.
I know.
It's crazy.
It is.
It's like this whole idea of truth, authenticity online, it's being challenged. Like, if we can't even trust what we see and hear, how can we have, real conversations?
It's true.
Or make informed decisions?
It's a great question. And it's one this research paper asks directly.
It is, and it's one that we will keep exploring as we dive deeper into this. But before we go there, I want to touch on the mental health stuff.
Yes.
Because that really stood out to me in the paper.
It's really important, and we're going to unpack it all in the next part of our deep dive.
Definitely.
So the paper, it highlights this growing concern about AI-driven social media, and its impact on mental health.
Yeah.
Especially for young people.
That's interesting because I feel like we've all heard, about the negative effects of just social media in general.
Right.
But how does AI specifically make it worse?
Well, think about it. Imagine constantly consuming content.
Right.
That's been made by, AI.
Right.
Impersonal AI algorithms.
Right.
It can create this sense of, everything's so superficial.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're disconnected.
And it's like you're interacting with a shell,
Yeah.
Not even a real person.
Exactly. And the paper, it suggests that this type of interaction, it can lead to, feelings of isolation, inadequacy, even depression, especially right when you compare your real life to, the curated, often unrealistic portrayals you see online.
Oh, yeah. It's like everyone else is living these picture-perfect lives.
Right.
While you're, stuck with the reality of your own.
That's a great point. And that feeling of inadequacy can be made even worse by, those algorithms we were talking about. Right. The consumption-driven ones, the ones that are always trying to keep us scrolling.
Yeah, those dopamine-triggering algorithms, they're
Yeah.
constantly feeding our need for, validation, approval.
Exactly. And the paper, it actually cites research, linking this type of social media use, the excessive kind, to, higher rates of anxiety and depression. It's like we're always chasing this digital high,
Right.
but we can never really satisfy it.
Yeah.
And it just leaves us feeling empty, unfulfilled.
So it's not just the content itself, right? That's bad. But it's the way it's given to us, targeted to us.
Exactly.
By these AI-powered platforms.
The algorithms, they play a huge role, shaping our experience, influencing how we act. And unfortunately, they're usually designed to keep us engaged, even if it's not good for us.
Man, that's kind of bleak. But the paper doesn't end on a totally hopeless note, right? There's got to be a way to fix things.
Of course. And that's where, this idea of balanced and ethical integration of AI comes in.
Right.
It's not about, getting rid of AI completely. It's about using it in a way that, actually helps people.
So finding a way to harness AI's power, but not let it control us, manipulate us.
Exactly. And the paper actually lays out some really cool ideas for how we can achieve that balance.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it. One of the things they mentioned was digital literacy, right?
Right.
So what does that even mean in the age of AI?
Well, it's about giving people the tools to think critically about the stuff they see online. It's about being able to tell the difference between human-created content and AI-generated content.
Right.
Understanding how these algorithms work, how they might be, messing with you, and recognizing those biases that are baked into AI systems.
So it's not just about knowing how to use technology. It's about knowing how that technology works and how it affects us.
Exactly. It's crucial, especially for younger people. They're growing up in this, AI-driven digital world. We have to equip them, give them the tools and knowledge they need to be safe.
Yeah. Makes sense. The paper also talked about developing tools to detect AI.
Yes.
I imagine that's got to be tough, right? Because AI is always getting better.
It's a fast-moving field, but it's super important if we want to combat the negative stuff like deepfakes, misinformation, all that.
Can you give us some examples of the tools that are being made?
Sure. Some tools, they focus on analyzing the content itself.
Okay.
They can look for tiny patterns, anomalies, in images and videos that tell us they might be fake.
So it's like looking for clues, like digital fingerprints that show AI made it.
Exactly. Other tools, they focus on where the content came from.
Okay.
They look at things like the account's history,
Yeah.
who they interact with, even how they write, to figure out if it's likely AI.
It's like a constant race, right?
It is.
To stay ahead of the AI, to
Yeah.
find ways to expose it.
Exactly. And that just shows how important research and development is in this area. It's never going to stop.
Yeah. The final solution they mentioned, it was setting ethical standards for AI. That feels so much bigger.
It is.
So much more complex. It's not just about the technology itself, but about like philosophy, our values as a society.
Absolutely. This is where it gets really interesting. It's about asking ourselves those really deep questions,
Yeah.
Like, where do we draw the line? What are the limits for AI?
Right.
How do we make sure it serves us, not the other way around? How do we stop it from making bias and inequality worse?
Those are some big questions. I mean, they're huge questions, like almost philosophical.
They really are. Like
Yeah.
the nature of truth, how tech impacts us, the ethics of creating AI that's, well, basically like human intelligence.
Right. It's a lot.
It is. And we have to remember, we're still just at the beginning of this whole AI thing.
Yeah.
We're just starting to grasp, what it can do and what it might do to us.
So, like, how do we even navigate this whole new world? Where do we even start with these, like, massive challenges?
Well, the paper, it argues for a multifaceted approach.
Yeah.
It's not just about making new tech.
Right.
It's about encouraging critical thinking, promoting digital literacy, setting ethical rules for AI, how we develop it and use it. To take all of us,
Yeah.
individuals, businesses, policymakers.
It's a whole societal thing, right?
Exactly. And that brings us back to, that really thought-provoking question the paper asks at the end. How do we make sure the internet, the one we created,
Right.
stays true to its original purpose? Connecting people, providing good information, even in this age of AI.
That's a powerful question. Makes you think, like, it wasn't always like this.
Right.
The internet was built on, sharing, talking, working together, information flowing freely. And it seems like in a lot of ways we've kind of strayed from that.
I agree. And, AI, it's both a problem and a chance to get back on track. We can either let it make those problems worse, those foundational problems,
Yeah.
or we can use AI to make them better, make the internet more informed, more connected, more about humans.
It's like we're at this fork in the road, right?
Yeah.
One path, it leads to this future where AI is running the show, algorithms call the shots, and it's all about profits, not about people connecting. And then the other path, it's where we use AI to make us smarter, help us connect better, and empower us.
Exactly. And it's our choice. We get to decide which path we take. It starts with awareness, being critical, demanding more from the tech that's shaping our lives.
So for our listeners out there, what's the one big thing you want them to remember? What's really resonating with you from all this? We talked about like AI influencers, deepfakes, the mental health impact, ethics. It's a lot, but it's something we all need to be thinking about.
It really is. The most important thing is to be aware. Be aware of how AI is already affecting your online life. How those algorithms might be pushing you in certain directions. Question everything you see. And think about how all this might be affecting you, your mental well-being.
It's about being a smart, informed digital citizen.
Exactly.
Understanding the tools, the tech that's shaping the world, and using that knowledge to make good choices.
And never forgetting, the internet isn't just something that happens to us. It's a reflection of us, our choices, our values, what we want the future to look like.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI and the dead internet theory.
Thanks for having me.
We'll leave everyone with this. The future of the internet, it's not set in stone. We get to shape it, but we have to be engaged, informed, and really think about the kind of digital world we want to build.